Well. Bills Mafia, look who's back in town. Jordan Poyer has returned to Buffalo. That's right. After a roller coaster year in Miami, the veteran safety is wearing red, white, and blue again. But this time, things are different. He's not the same player he was a few years ago, and this isn't the same role. Poyer's back, but not on the 53-man roster. He's been signed to the practice squad. And if you're wondering how to feel about it, buckle up, because there's a lot to unpack here. Let's rewind for a second. Jordan Poyer came to the Bills back in 2017, right when Sean McDermott took over and started building the culture we now know. Alongside Micah Hyde, Poyer helped form one of the most consistent and respected safety duos in the league. They were the foundation of a defense that transformed from bottom tier to elite, and they were there for the rise of Josh Allen, the playoff runs, the division titles. Poyer wasn't just a contributor. He was part of the identity. A leader, a tone setter. But last season, let's be real, it didn't go well. Poyer finally got his wish after years of flirting with the idea of joining the Dolphins. He signed a one-year deal with Miami, walked out the door with hopes of bringing his toughness and leadership to a divisional rival. The expectation was simple: be that dog. Be the guy who makes the locker room tougher, sharper, better. And instead, it kind of fell flat. He didn't play well. The age looked like it had caught up with him. And then, to top it all off, he made some pretty questionable comments once he got back to Buffalo. He admitted he didn't put it all on the line for his teammates in Miami the way he did for Buffalo. Wait, what? You're a veteran. You spent 2 years trying to get to Miami. They signed you to be the leader, and you're saying you didn't give them your all? That doesn't sit right. That's not what professionals do. It's one thing to love your time in Buffalo. It's another to undercut the commitment you made to another franchise, especially a divisional opponent, by saying out loud that you basically mailed it in emotionally. It's a tough look, no matter how much nostalgia we might feel seeing him back in Orchard Park. But let's not lose sight of what this really is. Jordan Poyer is back, but in a new role. Practice squad veteran, mentor, depth piece. Not a starter, not a star. This is a different chapter. He knows it. The team knows it. And that matters. Bills GM Brandon Beane spoke to the media and made it clear. This isn't a reunion just for vibes or nostalgia. It's about having experienced, culture-setting players in the building to guide the next generation. Guys like Cole Bishop, who's entering his second year and has big expectations placed on him. Or rookie Jordan Hancock, who might be thrown into the fire sooner than later. These young players aren't just filling depth spots. They might be leaned on heavily this season. And having a guy like Poyer in the building, in the meeting rooms, on the practice field, in the locker room, just being around them, could make a real difference. Same thing goes on the defensive line. Jordan Phillips is also back, taking on a similar role with the interior rotation. And Phillips isn't just hanging around either. He joked about how he and rookie Deone Walker have nearly identical body types and skill sets. That's not just a funny line. It's actually a valuable connection. Walker can look at Phillips as a mirror of where he could go and what pitfalls to avoid. Veteran mentorship like that isn't just about speeches. It's about example, presence, and habits. Now, not everyone is thrilled about this move. Some fans feel like it's a step backwards, that bringing back guys from the past signals a lack of forward movement. But let's not be dramatic. This isn't about clinging to the past. This is about using the past to shape the future. Poyer knows he's not being brought in to be an every-down player. He wasn't signed to the 53-man. He joined after final cuts. That alone tells you everything. He understands what this is. There's no illusion. And that's why it's hard to see this as anything but a net positive. Micah Hyde did something similar last year, came in mid-season, mentored from the background. But this is a bit different. This is late August. Season prep is underway. And Beane said it clearly. Yes, these vets are here to be mentors, but if they need to play, they better be ready. They're not just holding clipboards and patting backs. If things go sideways and injuries pile up, Jordan Poyer might be back on the field. So let's just hope Cole Bishop shows out and stays healthy. But let's come back to that Miami piece because it lingers. And honestly, as much as we appreciate what Poyer did for the Bills over the years, it's okay to feel a little conflicted. It's okay to raise an eyebrow at how that Dolphins stint went down. Yes, he's back. Yes, he's still a leader. But that whole Miami saga, still kind of wild. You chase a team for 2 years. You finally sign, and then you check out emotionally and admit it later. That just doesn't align with what we expect from a guy who wore the C on his chest for so long in Buffalo. That's not how a captain behaves. So yeah, it's fair to say welcome back, while also thinking, dude, what happened down there? Still, the reality is this. The Bills are getting a veteran presence who knows the system, understands the culture, and can help the younger guys transition. That's worth something, especially when your secondary depth is anything but clear right now. Because let's talk about that cornerback situation. It's not exactly confidence-inspiring heading into Week 1. Tre'Davious White? Still a mystery. Brandon Beane gave a vague, he's rehabbing update. They're taking it day by day. He didn't practice this week. Neither did Christian Benford. That's 2 expected starters, both sidelined, and no concrete info. Beane basically said, wait until the official injury report drops next Wednesday. Not exactly reassuring. That tells us they're keeping things close to the vest, which usually means there's more to the story. So, if it's not White and it's not Benford, who's up? You got a few options. Dane Jackson is back on the practice squad. The guy has 28 starts since 2020, so he's experienced. But if the staff really believed in him as a starter, he wouldn't be on the practice squad right now. Then there's Dorian Strong, the undrafted rookie who started the final preseason game and was the first corner pulled out. Is that a sign of confidence? Could be. And you've also got Jamarcus Ingram, who came in after Strong in that final game and was on the roster last year. Honestly, you could convince me any of those 3 end up starting Week 1. That's not a good thing, with the Ravens looming, and Lamar Jackson ready to test your secondary with speed, motion, and misdirection. Having question marks at corner is not what you want. There's hope that Benford's absence is precautionary. Same with White. But hope isn't a plan, and unless we see some real updates soon, the Bills are staring down a pretty unstable situation at one of the most critical positions on the field. Let's start at quarterback. Shane Buechele is the man holding that practice squad spot behind Josh Allen and Mitch Trubisky, and honestly, it makes sense. Sure, Mike White was also waived and is still out there, and maybe he's the more talented quarterback overall. But Buechele has something that makes him uniquely valuable in this specific role. He knows how to run a scout team. He's got experience mimicking different quarterback styles for weekly game prep, and his mobility gives the Bills some flexibility in simulating dual-threat QBs. Add in the fact that he's reportedly tight with Josh Allen, and you've got yourself a QB3 who understands the assignment. He's not here to push for playing time. He's here to make the starters better. At running back, the Bills bring back Frank Gore Jr. now. This kid had a great preseason. He was the only player across the league to rack up over 100 rushing yards and 100 receiving yards in preseason action. That alone tells you he was doing something right. And yet, with the active roster spots already set, he slides back onto the practice squad. But that's not a demotion, it's a continuation. Because if anything happens to one of the guys ahead of him, Gore Jr. is a natural call-up. His vision, versatility, and bloodline, it's all there. He's not just a name. He's earned it. Tight end room, pretty thin. Just one name on the practice squad for now, Khalil Shakir. That's it. No Zach Davidson. No 4th-year project sticking around for another shot. And that feels intentional. Davidson had his moments. He was part of Hard Knocks. He even punted in a preseason game and showed off his energy. But the reality is this. He's been trying to make an NFL roster for 5 years and hasn't done it. That's not a knock on him as a person. It's just the truth of the league. At some point, you stop giving reps to a guy who's had 4 or 5 chances and start looking for someone new. The Bills clearly made that call. Wide receiver depth brings back 2 familiar names, Stephen Gosnell and Christian Wilkerson. Now, Wilkerson in particular is one to watch. He had a strong camp, made plays in preseason, and honestly looked like the best option behind the core 6 receivers. A little bit of size, physicality, and NFL experience. He's not just a placeholder. If the Bills need to elevate a wideout at some point, Wilkerson could be the guy. On the offensive line, this is where the Bills made some quiet, underrated moves. Kendrick Green and Dan Feeney, both back on the practice squad. And look, I thought there was a real chance at least one of those guys would make the 53-man roster outright. But Cedric Van Pran-Granger got activated off the PUP list, and that changed the math. Still, to stash both Green and Feeney on the practice squad is a win. These guys have versatility and real game experience. You could easily make the case that several teams around the league have worse backup options on their active rosters than these two. That's quality depth sitting just one call-up away. Then there's Travis Clayton, the rugby player from England, part of the International Pathway program. He's back on the practice squad, and honestly, that's exciting. Think about this. He had never played American football before this offseason, and by the end of preseason, he was taking snaps on the field. That's not normal. That's insane growth. And the fact that he's still around means the Bills see something in him. Next year will be huge for him, but for now, just having him in the building, soaking it all in, learning, growing, that's valuable. Defensively, we start with the interior line. Jordan Phillips, we already talked about him. The other name is Zion Logue, and this one matters. Logue had a solid preseason, and there was a real fear he might get scooped back up by the Falcons, where he had history. But the Bills got him back, and from a traditional nose tackle perspective, he gives you something different. Run defense has been a concern for Buffalo, and a guy like Logue could be a chess piece if matchups demand it. Quiet win for the depth chart. Linebackers brought back include Jimmy Sharlow and Keyshawn Jennings. And man, the Sharlow story is one of the best of camp. He came in late, no time to waste, and he made it count. You could see it. He was always around the facility, studying, putting in the hours, doing everything he could to make an impression. And it worked. He made the practice squad over players like Idefu and Ulofosio, who was a fifth-round pick just last year. That's not a small thing. That's hard to do. And he earned it. You love to see it. In the secondary, two corners return, Daquan Hardy and Dane Jackson. Let's start with Jackson. Remember when people panicked when the Bills re-signed him in the offseason? Thought he was going to be CB2 again? Well, he didn't even make the roster. Now he's on the practice squad. And that's fine. That's exactly the kind of player you want in that spot. Experienced, reliable enough if needed, but not someone you're relying on week in and week out. He's your emergency plan, and that's exactly where he fits best. Then there are the safeties, Jordan Poyer, who we already covered, and Sam Franklin. And Franklin's a name you might not know yet, but you will. This guy is a special teams demon. That's what he does. He's a Siren Neal-type player. Not going to give you much in base defense, but on kicks, punts, coverage units, he's a weapon. He spent time with Chris Tabor in Carolina, and now he's here in Buffalo, trying to do the same thing. The question is, how do the Bills manage his availability? He can only be elevated from the practice squad 3 times. So do they carve out a roster spot for him? Maybe, because if he can boost your coverage units, that's a real edge in a league where field position often determines outcomes. Now, there's still one practice squad spot open, and reports suggest it might go to defensive end Andre Jones, formerly with Washington. Makes sense. Buffalo does need another edge rusher in the rotation, and Jones would be a logical fit. But we'll see if that happens. Either way, the Bills have built a solid foundation of developmental depth. These aren't just random bodies. They're players who could make an impact if called upon. And all of this has unfolded as we got a new episode of Hard Knocks, Episode 4, which honestly has been one of the best ones yet. It's felt more real, more intense. The stakes are clearer. The personalities are shining through. And the moments? Man, there are some moments. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. Whispers have begun to ripple across the NFL landscape, sending shockwaves through Buffalo as fans and analysts alike digest the staggering news that Dawson Knox, the cornerstone tight end of the Bills offense, is reportedly on the verge of leaving the franchise. Sources close to the matter hint at complex negotiations behind the scenes, fueled by contract disputes, strategic disagreements, and perhaps a deeper yearning for a new environment that challenges his evolving career ambitions. Knox, who has been instrumental in connecting Josh Allen with critical passing plays, has long been celebrated for his ability to stretch defenses, create mismatches, and deliver in high-stakes situations, making this potential departure all the more startling. The rumor mill suggests that teams across the league, from established contenders to ambitious up-and-comers, are already positioning themselves to court the talented athlete, anticipating that his arrival could fundamentally alter their offensive dynamics. While the Bills organization has yet to issue a formal statement, insiders speculate that discussions over salary cap flexibility, long-term planning, and offensive philosophy may have reached an impasse, prompting KNOX to explore options beyond Buffalo. Fans have taken to social media, expressing disbelief, disappointment, and curiosity in equal measure, igniting a whirlwind of conjecture about where the tight end could land next. Some pundits argue that his departure would create a vacuum in Buffalo's offensive strategy, challenging the coaching staff to reinvent passing schemes and integrate emerging talent, while others posit that a new team environment might unlock untapped potential in KNOX's game, allowing him to flourish under different leadership and tactical approaches. The narrative is still developing, but the buzz around KNOX's future continues to grow, highlighting the precarious balance of loyalty, ambition, and the relentless business of professional football, leaving fans on the edge of their seats and sport commentators scrambling to predict the next chapter in what could be one of the most intriguing off-season sagas in recent memory. Speculation has intensified as insiders suggest that KNOX's rumored departure is not just about financial disagreements, but also about his vision for a more prominent role within an offensive scheme tailored to his unique skill set. The tight end has long been praised for his ability to exploit defensive weaknesses, his route-running precision, and his dependable hands in clutch moments, attributes that make him highly sought after by franchises looking to elevate their passing game. Observers note that KNOX has been increasingly vocal in meetings and private discussions about the type of system he feels would maximize his impact, hinting that his relationship with the current coaching staff may have grown strained. League executives are reportedly keeping a close watch on the situation, aware that acquiring a player of KNOX's caliber could transform a team's offensive identity almost overnight, not only providing a reliable target for quarterbacks, but also opening opportunities for other playmakers. Meanwhile, fan forums and sports talk programs are awash with conjecture, analyzing potential trade destinations, contract structures, and the strategic ramifications for both the Bills and potential suitors. The narrative surrounding KNOX's potential exit has become a complex web of personal ambition, team dynamics, and market considerations, with each rumor amplifying the suspense. Some analysts suggest that a move could see KNOX joining a team with a pressing need for a red zone threat, potentially reshaping playoff expectations, while others speculate that Buffalo might leverage his departure to acquire multiple assets, thereby recalibrating their roster for sustained success. The story continues to evolve with each passing day, feeding a cycle of speculation and rumor that underscores the high-stakes, high-drama environment of professional football, keeping fans, insiders, and the media on constant alert for the next reveal or leak about KNOX's trajectory. The murmurings surrounding Dawson Knox's potential exit have reached a fever pitch as league insiders hint at clandestine meetings, exploratory calls, and discreet evaluations that could dictate the tight end's next destination. According to unnamed sources, teams with immediate playoff aspirations are positioning themselves to make a bold push for KNOX, recognizing that his blend of size, agility, and route versatility could provide an instant boost to their aerial attack. Meanwhile, analysts suggest that KNOX's leadership qualities and work ethic have elevated his standing beyond mere statistics, making him a cultural asset for any locker room seeking a galvanizing presence. The strategic implications of such a move are vast. A team acquiring KNOX could immediately alter its red zone efficiency, diversify its offensive schemes, and force opponents to recalibrate defensive coverages, while Buffalo, if he departs, would confront the delicate challenge of replacing a core offensive weapon without compromising the rhythm and chemistry of their passing game. Reports indicate that KNOX has been deliberate in weighing offers, considering factors such as team culture, coaching philosophy, quarterback compatibility, and long-term championship prospects, all of which underscore the meticulous planning behind his rumored transition. Social media chatter amplifies every tidbit of information, with fans speculating wildly about which teams are realistically in contention, which executives are actively courting him, and how the potential shift could redefine rivalries and draft strategies. While official confirmation remains absent, the prevailing sentiment is that KNOX's next move will be one of the most consequential stories in the NFL's offseason, with implications that extend far beyond a single player's contract and into the strategic heart of multiple franchises, leaving pundits and supporters alike anxiously parsing every subtle hint and insider whisper. The suspense continues to mount, and each day, without resolution, only intensifies the aura of unpredictability surrounding the future of Dawson Knox and the Bills' evolving narrative. Insiders continue to speculate that Dawson Knox's potential departure from Buffalo could catalyze a domino effect across the NFL, influencing not only offensive alignments but also market dynamics, trade negotiations, and team strategies in unforeseen ways. Sources suggest that general managers are actively recalculating roster priorities, projecting salary cap allocations, and scouting tight ends who could partially fill the void Knox would leave behind, all while weighing the broader implications of such a high-profile transition. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.